And
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 66 of basically a Geek Show. Before we get started,
I'm surprised you didn't go into like some kind of execute Order 66 joke.
Nah.
I'm disappointed.
I don't know. Just not. I thought about it. Couldn't think of a way to make it work without it coming off labored. Whatever.
Fair enough. Anyways, go on.
As I was saying, before we get started, tip of the hat to glorious tournament of victory 2016 champion Chimp Mariachi Band.
Oh god, that's horrible.
Chimp Mariachi Band defeated Helen Keller astride a Dilophosaurus in the finals.
See, I would have rooted for Helen Keller because, well, of course, then again, I'd root for anything over a bunch of fucking chimpanzees. So, you know.
Well, there you have it. The Chimp Conference finally had their breakthrough tournament, and hats off to them, hats off to Greg, and the what it means to be a Cleveland Brown region. First championship for the city of Cleveland in 50-something years. Good on them. Let's get right down to business, slow. Let's talk Batman v Superman. Now, it's going to be a bit of, I don't want to say one-sided conversation, but you have not seen the movie yet.
Nope, I have not. But, I mean, you've told me most of it. I mean, I don't give a fuck about spoilers. Spoiler alerts are for pussies. I don't give a shit. So, say whatever. If it's, like I've said, if it's worth seeing once, it's worth seeing twice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the movie's good enough, then I'm not going to care if I know what's in it going into it.
Indeed. So, I guess a lot of people have been raking this movie over the coals, so to speak. We had a bit of a discussion about it on basically a sports show where Zach really took it to task, and I was playing a very defensive role because, to be perfectly honest, I like this movie. I really like this movie. I've seen it more than once now at this point, and I'm sorry. The more I think about this movie, the more I just really do like it, and I say that as someone who, although he very much likes Batman as a character, is primarily a Marvel fan, but I dare say this movie is better than a lot of the post-Avengers, being the first one, the post-Avengers Marvel movies. Which
now to be fair, does it take much to be better than a post-Avengers Marvel movie?
Oh,
and are you Guardians of the Galaxy fanboys can shut the fuck up? I don't want to hear your shit. That movie was mediocre at best.
People calling it this generation's Star Wars are just absolutely out of their fucking minds. Say what you will about Star Wars. Star Wars inspired a generation of filmmakers. Nobody got inspired because of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy was at best like a decent action movie.
At best, someone was mildly entertained for 2 hours one afternoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. No one was inspired to revolutionize filmmaking because of it. And I don't know, Marvel movie, and I think that's one reason why I do like this movie, is that it's something different. In that, you know, for a while now, Marvel has sort of been unopposed when it comes to superhero movies, and
then we had Deadpool.
Well, Deadpool being Marvel, but not really helmed by Marvel Studios, it was run by its own thing. It's in Fox's hands, and Fox gave it gave complete control over to a creative team there. But Marvel movies, by and large, are just, I mean, even when they're well made, they've fallen into, I don't want to say a rut, but they've fallen into a pattern that is becoming increasingly noticeable. And Batman v Superman, completely different creative team, completely different parent company, completely different studio, completely different creative process. It is not a Marvel movie. It does not try to be a Marvel movie. It is something completely unique and, dare I say, fresh. Because, you know, after stuff like Ant-Man, right? I mean, God. after stuff like Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm not saying these are necessarily bad movies, but I'm saying that they all have the telltale Marvel, I guess, tropes and structure to them.
Yeah.
And Batman v Superman is just a different kind of superhero movie. And you know what? Variety is always good. One of the things people, when it comes to pro wrestling, a lot of, even WWE, even hardcore WWF, WWE fans have lamented the loss of, say, WCW, because WCW was a different product, and it was always a nice change of pace, whenever you would get burnt out in the WWF stuff. And WCW fans would say the same about WWF. Variety is always good, is what I'm saying. And Batman vs. Superman was certainly different, and different in a good way. It's also a very stylized film, in that a lot of what Batman v Superman deals in, it hinges on vibrant imagery, on I don't want to say iconic, that's not the right word, but very recognizable, very vibrant, very standalone sort of imagery, where it's less traditionally exposition-driven and more almost montage-y in certain parts. And a lot of people have said that they feel that makes for a disjointed narrative. I didn't have any problems following the plot. And I just took it as a stylistic choice, and I really liked it as a result. Now, the movie does have its problems. I would say the single biggest way to improve this film is there are two dream sequences in the film. There's a dream sequence where Bruce visits his parents' graves, and then there's a dream sequence where Bruce kind of has a nightmare about, what the world could potentially be like if Superman becomes the tyrant that he is afraid of him becoming. And the first one of Bruce visiting his parents' graves is completely pointless. You could cut that out of the movie, no problem. And the Nightmare one, it serves to set up hints at various DC movies to come. Like Flash has a cameo in it, and they do hint at Darkseid, who is going to be the big bad at the Justice League movie. Oh, Justice League movies, I should say. There's going to be Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2. But even though that sets up a lot of future movies down the road, it's really not necessary to this movie. So I will say, you could cut both. The movie does suffer by having both dream sequences. If you cut both of them completely, I'd say the movie probably improves by a full letter grade. I would give this movie a strong B+. I'd say I would say it is without a doubt one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. If you take out just those two dream sequences, because they are, I would say, they do legitimately drag the narrative down. They really don't need to be there. There's also stuff dealing with basically Lex Luthor's computer drive, the Bruce Wayne hacks, and a lot of that sets up future Justice League movies. We see like security footage and of like the Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, and there's a picture of Wonder Woman from World War I, and Chris Pine makes a cameo in that photo because Chris Pine is going to be playing Wonder Woman's love interest in the standalone Wonder Woman movie that they're currently filming. All of that stuff, I don't think it's completely unnecessary, because the Justice League is going to be a bigger part of the cinematic universe, so you do kind of have to drop hints of it. I don't think it needed to be explored to the degree that it was, so that was certainly a problem. But all in all, I liked the movie. I thought the story was good. I thought a lot of the scenes work very well. I dare say the second scene in the movie, which is the final scene of Man of Steel, told from Bruce Wayne's point of view, Bruce Wayne was in Metropolis when the fight with General Zod went down at the end of Man of Steel. And so that's a very good scene, very well shot action sequence, and it really does a good job at establishing why Bruce/Batman does not trust Superman.
Because he's a douche. That's okay, because when Trump wins the election, he's going to build a wall, and Krypton's going to fucking pay for it.
Oh, they should have had a scene where Batman is all like, Trump 2016.
Going to build a wall. Going to make Krypton pay for it.
But and yeah, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck does do a Christian Bale voice, the gruff Batman voice.
And okay, like we said, I have not seen this movie yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've told me most of it. For the most part, whatever, before we recorded the show or what have you, over the last, week or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not prepared to say that I was wrong about this movie yet. I'm still going into it thinking it's going to be a steaming pile of shit. I mean, and it will not have been the first time you and I wildly disagree on something. I'm not optimistic at all. If it's just a decent action movie, I'll consider it. Expectations exceeded. I still maintain everything I've said about their casting choices being garbage, with the exception of Alfred.
On the casting side, that is actually what I think is the movie's strongest attribute, is that I don't think there's a single weak link in the entire main cast. Jeremy Irons as Alfred is fantastic. I would dare say he rivals, if not surpasses, Michael Caine as my preferred Alfred. And a week before this movie came out, I would have told you that was impossible. I would have said Michael Caine is the definitive Alfred, and there's just no other way around it. But Jeremy Irons does make a very strong case for it.
Well, I don't have an issue seeing Jeremy Irons as a very good Alfred. I don't have any issues with that at all.
I know, but
it's when you get into the rest of their fucking dog and pony show that I've got a problem.
No, and I'm here to tell you, I don't think there's a weak link. Ben Affleck, he was the big question of going in. I am going to tell you right now, Ben Affleck is a very good Batman.
Is he Christian Bale good?
He's not Christian Bale good.
More important, is he Michael Keaton good?
I never cared for Michael Keaton. I would say Ben Affleck is probably 1.5 Val Kilmer's, and I say that as someone who thought Val Kilmer is a very underrated Batman. But yeah, I'd say Christian Bale is not Christian Bale. Ben Affleck is slightly ahead of that curve. Like, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. A lot of people, myself included, were like, Ben Affleck, what the fuck is going on? Didn't anyone watch Daredevil? But he does a good job with it, and it's odd, but there it is. I don't know what else to tell you. He does right by the role. In fact, a lot of people, even people who don't like this movie, are saying, yeah, it was crap, but Ben Affleck was good as Batman.
Okay, so
people who don't like this movie have even said, okay, this movie sucked, but I would totally watch a solo Ben Affleck Batman movie. So, he does a good job. Just quickly running down the rest of the cast, Jesse Eisenberg, I would say, steals the show as Lex Luthor.
That's what I was about to ask next, actually.
I was in the camp that was disappointed that Bryan Cranston didn't get the part of Luthor, but Jesse Eisenberg nails it. He basically he kind of steals the movie.
Are we still sure that he's not Michael Cera?
Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen them in the same place at the same time.
Exactly.
But he's good as Luthor. He really does capture the the right sort of... He really captures Luthor's primary motivation, which is...
To bring jobs.
Oh, no. It's that Luthor's motivation is that Superman's very existence offends him. Because Superman's very existence... Pardon?
I can relate.
Superman's very existence kind of throws everything about Lex's worldview and how Lex views himself into doubt. And Jesse Eisenberg did a great job capturing that. So, a very manic Lex Luthor, but in a way that worked. Henry Cavill, I really like him as Superman. I dare say he's probably my favorite Superman, although not that the competition is necessarily stiff on that front. I mean, it's basically just Christopher Reeves and then Brendan Roth. And I'm not counting Smallville because I never watched it. But, yeah, so Henry Cavill's good, Amy Adams is good. Lawrence Fishburne doesn't really have a lot to do in this movie as Perry White, the editor of the Daily Planet, but he makes use with what he's given. He makes good use of what he's given. He's perfect. Perry White, all I really want out of Perry White is for him to be a cynical asshole who sort of mocks Clark Kent for his idealism, and that's exactly what Lawrence Fishburne brought to the role, and it was everything I could have possibly wanted. So, there it is. And that's and Gail Gadot as Gabbett as Wonder Woman.
I think it's Gadot. I don't know.
Gadot? Gail Gadot? Is that it? The woman that got to play Wonder Woman. She's good in it. There's a lot of questions concerning her casting, and I thought she was fine. Like, she doesn't have a lot to do necessarily because they don't really give her much beyond Wonder Woman is here, here's her basic motivation. But with what she has, it's fine. I dare say she was probably the most badass character in the final fight scene with Doomsday, because Doomsday shows up. So Doomsday shows up, and they completely botch Doomsday's, or I don't want to say botch Doomsday's origin. They change it. Not that that's anything new. Like in the Marvel comic, in the Marvel Comics universe, Hank Pym creates Ultron, and then the movies they have it be Tony Stark. In the comics, some ancient I don't even think he's Kryptonian, but some ancient scientist basically creates Doomsday, and here it's Lex Luthor. Whatever. Stuff like that changes for comic book movies. Doomsday is not the first, he's not the last. And Doomsday isn't really even a character. He's mostly just a monster for Batman and Superman to team up against at the end. And he is a good character to be that, because even in the comics, Doomsday doesn't have a character.
You don't have a character.
And Zach on basically Sports Show was going on about how he didn't like how the death of Superman was basically shoehorned to the last 30 minutes of this movie. And I understand that, but I'm here to tell you, and he mentioned that you could probably do Death of Superman as its own movie. Again, I understand his criticism, and I don't disagree when he says that it could be its own movie, but if I'm being just entirely honest, I didn't care, and I thought it worked as an ending to this movie. So that's sort of my take on Doomsday.
To me, the death of Superman would improve any movie. For example, The Notebook.
A lot of people have also criticized the movie for, I guess, not being escapist enough, in that the movie basically tries to ask the question, like, okay, if in the real world Superman were a thing, Like, how would people respond? And you'd have a lot of people who would view him as a hero, but you would also have a lot of people who would be like, I don't really trust this guy. What's this guy's deal? And, there would be people on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or what have you, basically arguing, basically having yelling matches like, what do you think about Superman? And that's what this movie kind of capitalizes on and tries to operate in. A lot of people have said, movies should be an escape from the real world. This is just sort of shoving the real world into our superhero movies. I'm going to disagree on that criticism because, and this kind of goes back to one of the reasons why I like it, I like the movie, is that it's different from Marvel. And Marvel movies have had their opportunities to tackle, I guess, real world or bigger issues. Tony Stark is basically tailor-made as a character for that sort of thing, and yet they've had opportunities to discuss his alcoholism. They never touch on it because that's not the movie Disney wants to make. They had an opportunity with Iron Man 3 to sort of discuss America's role in the third world and how that facilitates international terrorism when they were what we thought was going to be their revamp of the Mandarin character. And then they botched that to give us like some generic white guy who's pissed off at Tony for reasons that aren't adequately explained. And then...
he had a lot riding on that party, sir.
I'm just saying he seemed to do fairly well for himself despite that, so I'm really not sure what he's so angry about. But... what I'm getting at is that Marvel has had opportunities to tell interesting stories in ways that tackle bigger issues, and they have passed on those opportunities. Okay, and that's fair enough. Those aren't the movies you want to tell. Those aren't the movies you want to make. And I'm kind of going into Civil War with lowered expectations than I perhaps would have had 2-3 years ago, because I know they're not going to examine the deeper ideological issues that the comics delved into and really look at why Tony believes this or why Steve Rogers believes that, because that's not the movie they want to make, and that's fine. But as someone who is both a comics fan and who has a keen interest in politics, in social policy, in economic policy, in history, I want to see superhero movies kind of tackle those issues, and DC for the most part has been very good at that. The Nolan Batman films, which are not they are not in continuity with this movie, but they're still DC. They tackled a variety of issues. Maybe the execution wasn't always perfect, but there was at least an attempt to have to have sort of an ideological discussion within the scope of those movies. And the philosophy in Man of Steel isn't even necessarily deep in any meaningful way. It's basically just what would the real world be like if Superman were a part of it. But at least one comic book movie is sort of taking that more intellectual stance. And again, the execution isn't perfect, but it's serviceable and it works. And I appreciate that. So that is another reason why I do like this movie. Other than that, at the end of the day, the best defense I can give of this movie is that when I saw it, I walked out of the theater having enjoyed myself and going, you know what, that was a good use of my time. I'm happy I spent that money to see that movie. So, and at the end of the day, you can give all the reasons in defense of a movie, but that's what it ultimately comes down to. Did you enjoy yourself? Which has been the defense you've used on Bad Movie Defender plenty of times, Jack.
Yes, it is.
So
is this your Battlefield Earth?
No, I wouldn't say that because Battlefield Earth was a financial
awesome movie.
Was a financial disaster, and despite the
You're
haters,
a financial disaster.
Despite the haters, Batman v Superman has done well financially. So
there's no way that movie could not do well financially. Simply because the fact that it's the first time Batman and Superman have actually fought in a theatrical release.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no way that just out of curiosity, people weren't going to go to fucking see it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that is true.
It's inevitable.
That is true. That is true. Now, I did have a bit of a weird experience in that when I saw the movie, it actually, before the movie started, we got a bit of a message from Zack Snyder, the director, who wanted to ask us not to spoil the movie for people. And he was like, please don't spoil the movie for people who haven't seen it yet, because
Jesus.
you're among the first... I did see it opening night, and they're like, you are among the first people who will see this movie. Please don't spoil it for others. And I was like, that is weird. I have never seen that before. That has never happened.
Come on, people. Get off of it. Okay, look. I am so sick and tired of the spoiler warning bullshit, right? Okay, the best movies that you've ever seen in your life are the ones that you can't get enough of. You know, the ones that you can't see enough times. I've seen Jaws hundreds of times. I've seen the Godzilla movies hundreds of times. You've seen the Star Wars movies hundreds of times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if a movie's any fucking good, it's not going to matter what you hear someone tell you. It's only going to matter when you're sitting there seeing it, seeing how it's put together, you know, the music and the directing and the acting, and seeing all of it together and experiencing it.
The score to this movie is fantastic, but then again, it's Hans Zimmer. He knows his shit.
If you're that worried, if what someone tells you or what you read is going to ruin that for you, then the movie's not that fucking good to begin with, because it's not doing its job. Mm-hmm. So all you spoiler warning little pussies, shut the fuck up. Seriously, get off it. God.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. The only there's only been one movie in maybe the past 5 years or so that I've actually gone out of my way to avoid spoilers for, and that was The Force Awakens.
Which one was that again? Oh yeah, the one just came out. Yeah.
Which one was that?
I admittedly was trolling you a bit on that one.
But Batman
was that the one with the Gungans?
God. But Batman v Superman, I liked it. I really don't feel I have anything more to say other than that. I've kind of run down everything I like about it. Good music, good casting, despite your reservations. Story worked a lot. Again, I would say take out some of the dreams. Take out all the dreams. Take out some of the Justice League foreshadowing stuff, and the movie improves by a full letter grade. But as it was, it's still good. I still enjoyed it. And obviously, Superman's not dead. I mean, they end with the death of Superman, but you know, in the comics, Superman, Doomsday killing Superman didn't actually kill Superman. So you know, he's not dead. The only thing that I'm curious about going forward about the death of Superman is we know he's going to come back for the Justice League movie. I want to know if they go full in on the whole death of Superman thing, and they give him that really stupid electric blue costume when he comes back to life, like they did in the 90s when they killed him off the first time.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean,
they're like, we're going to kill Superman and bring him back to life to reboot him for the 90s, and they gave him an electric blue costume and like a mohawk.
Because
and it was
extreme.
And so it was just like the dumbest shit, but it was like Superman for the 90s. Like I don't know, but if you're gonna do Death of Superman, like that, and I'm curious to see if they're gonna do the Reign of the Supermen, which is where like a week after Superman dies, like it's 4 different beings, each claiming to be Superman, show up and it's like one of them is the Eradicator, who is basically a cyborg that looks exactly like Superman, but he's wearing Bret Hart glasses.
Lol.
Then there's then there's Superboy, who's basically just like teenage Superman, but he's flamboyant and kind of pretty gay, to be completely honest about it.
So exactly like Superman.
And then there's Steel, who is not even really a Superman clone. He's just like an elderly black person.
He's John Henry.
Basically, he is. And also played by Shaquille O'Neal in a terrible 90s movie.
Oh, God. Shaquille O'Neal and the acting and the things.
And then there's
Cyborg.
And then there's Cyborg Superman, who turned out to be an evil supervillain. So, I mean, they're not going to do this. They've already started filming Justice League Part 1, so they're going straight from this into the Justice League movie. And so there's not going to be time to do the Death of Superman fallout from the comics or the reign of the Superman or any of that stuff. They're just going to bring him back, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. But
the thing,
part of me does want to see this. Part of me does want to see, the goofy ass comic shit.
Well, and I know people are going to complain about that and them not doing the reign of the Superman and all that other stuff. The thing is, though, like, to do that properly would take at least one full movie devoted to it.
And I mean,
they've got shit to do and places to go. So,
we could even bring Shaquille O'Neal back as Steel, right?
Oh yeah, why not? I mean, they're electing
first time.
They're electing to not do it at all, rather than to do it half-assed. I can get with that.
Yeah, but I also kind of want to see the Eradicator, because again, it's Superman wearing Bret Hart glasses, and everyone, like, when they see him, they're like, Superman's back, yay! And he's like, destroy all humans! And he starts, like, shooting laser beams out of his Bret Hart glasses. It's, like, the dumbest shit, but it's hilarious.
Lol.
So, I fully say this as someone who's not a DC fan, that I want to see them do the reign of the Supermen, but not for any, legitimate reasons. I just want to see some goofy-ass...
You just want to see shit get all retarded, basically.
I want to see them bring Shaquille O'Neal back as Steel, because, goddammit, he deserves his redemption.
There is no redemption for that man's acting ability.
Oh, maybe bring him... What was that, Shazam that he did? Where was that, Genie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But come on. Shaquille O'Neal as Steel. Reign of Superman.
So yeah, how about...
Let's make it happen.
How about that BotCon, sir?
Okay, so yeah, let's move to BotCon. My final thoughts on Superman. Batman vs. Superman. It's a good movie. Haters gonna hate. Lex Luthor for president. 2020. Moving on to BotCon. So, this is actually, as we talked about in our last show, the last BotCon as we know it.
Yup.
It was we finally got final for real confirmation attendees at this year's BotCon. In your home state of Kentucky, sir.
Indeed.
In Louisville, Kentucky, they had a FunPub handed out a letter to all attendees basically saying, yes, this is over. Like, this is our last one. We are parting ways of Hasbro. And we've gone into that and what it could mean for the future in our last episode. But what I want to get into with this one is just kind of the show itself, because there's really not any news other than it being the last one. Hasbro, at the Hasbro panel, flat out said they are going to do something, quote, con-like, but they're not ready to go into details, meaning either they have something planned that they're not ready to reveal, or they still don't know what they're going to do.
They don't know what they're going to do.
Probably. But Let's talk about BotCon as a whole, sir. And we're going to start off, I guess, because we really didn't go over these as they were coming out like we did last couple of years when it came to the exclusives. So now that the show has happened, first I'm going to link you to in-hand pictures of the box set.
Okay.
Now, they took advantage of the fact that this is sort of the year of Combiner Wars, and so this is an all-Combiner set. It's called Predicus, and it's based off, and it's a Beast Wars themed set. So the Tripredicus Council was the ruling body of the Predacons, the descendants of the Decepticons, during the Beast Wars timeline, and they were made up of 3 generals, and then they had 2 elite agents, Ravage and Tarantulas. And basically, the box set is, let's take those 5 characters and use Combiner Wars toys for them, and then they will form the Predicus Combiner. So, what do you think?
I'm seeing a lot of vehicles in this beast-themed set.
Well, the premise is that
set is strangely absent of beasts.
It takes place
kind of like the whole pirates and knights thing, was strangely devoid of pirates or knights.
It takes place on Cybertron before they get to Earth, so before they get to prehistoric Earth, so they haven't adopted animal modes yet. So they're all still in their vehicle modes. Is what
all
is
I'm
happening.
hearing is FunPub sucks a big dick again.
I mean, Ravage has the cat head.
Well, there you go. I mean, okay, in a vacuum, these figures look kind of interesting and kind of cool. Somewhat.
I'm going to say right now, as someone who has no real love for Beast Wars, I'm sorry, I just don't. And Beast Wars was really hitting it big when I was in the Target demo, and I watched Beast Wars and I enjoyed it enough, but when it comes to Transformers as a whole, I definitely do prefer the more traditional vehicle-centric Transformers stuff, and while I'm not going to go so far as to say Beast Wars sucks, I will say that I think...
You've said that how many times since I've known you?
In jest. And it's basic. It's either been in jest or me just exaggerating. But I will say Beast Wars as a whole is not nearly as good as people make it out to be. And I think the Transformers fandom as a whole really needs to let it go. Like, they need to let the whole idolizing Beast Wars thing go, because I've got news for you. As overall okay as the show was, it isn't the masterpiece y'all are making it out to be. That's all I'm going to say on that. So, as coming from that
not
perspective...
Not once in that series was the word boobies used.
No, that's true. Nor did 2 Predacons attempt to take over the universe with trains and football coaches, and, I don't even know what you're doing at that point. But, so the only toy from this set that I would want is Ravage, because it's a Generation 1 character. I mean, this is following a plot line from the Beast Wars cartoon. This is G1 Ravage as a Predacon, like he upgraded, I guess. And it also is a nice reference to one of the alternators they did in the early 2000s, where they just took a car mode and they made it, and they transformed it into a robot, and then they stuck a cat head on it, and they're like, it's Ravage. And so, as a Ravage that isn't necessarily dependent on a sound wave, I think this is pretty cool. And like, if I'm at a convention and I see Ravage being sold individually for like a decent price, I'd pick him up. But he's the only one that I have any sort of inkling towards. What about you?
They're interesting. Like, I don't see myself picking up any of them if I see them, out loose in the wild or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're interesting enough. Beyond me joking about supposed to be Beast Wars. Yo, you might want to put some beasts in that.
Well, they did on, which one is it? Secret Rabbit. Okay. Cicadacon, General Cicadacon, who is the plane.
Yeah.
He's kind of got bug detailing on the wings, if you want your animal references.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, they're actually not bad. They're fairly interesting looking.
What do you think of the combined mode?
I've actually been looking for. Oh, maybe it's on page 2.
It's the last page. It's the last image.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
It's the last picture in the gallery.
Okay, then hold on. All I'm seeing is a bunch of fucking Instagram pictures. I'm not seeing any gallery shit.
Don't know what you're looking at.
I'm looking at what you linked me, Noob Cake.
Could you link that back to me?
Yeah, give me a sec. Okay. Okay, here we go. I got it. Looks kind of stupid. It looks like something that Thew would be dropping a brick on.
Oh, I mean, one of the big problems is that the 3 Tripredicus generals all have a unified color scheme, and like the red and the silver and the black. Yeah. And then Ravage and Tarantulas are, of course, they weren't part of that group. They were their own characters, so they had their own color schemes. And so you just kind of get a robot, a 5-team combiner where it's like 3/5 are one color, and then the other two...
You get a combiner with mismatched socks.
Basically, yeah. It's not ideal. Ravage can kind of fudge it because he's still black with some red on it, but Tarantulas just stands out. That with his purple and blue and neon green, it's just not working. But anyway, that is that's the box set. Here are the souvenir sets. These are all the souvenirs that were either freebies or for sale at the show, but weren't part of the box set. We've got Beast Wars Air Razor from Takara Legends Slipstream, who was a retool of Windblade.
Okay. Actually, looks better than Windblade. Kinda.
We've got RID. We've got Beast Wars Transmetal 2 Megatron from RID 2001 Megatron.
Yep.
Which was actually something that was supposed to happen in 2005, but that whole convention didn't happen and got caught up in legal disputes. So, I guess FunPub figured it's their last one. They might as well do it now. We've got 3 generations Shockwaves all done up as the 3 reflector bots.
Yeah. Which don't even form into a camera.
Well, they actually did. The picture isn't in this gallery, but they did. There was a display image where someone fudged it, where if you take all 3 of them in the gun mode, you can fudge it together into a camera.
You shouldn't have to fudge Reflector together into a camera.
No.
I'm just saying.
Then we've got Pterosaur from Combined Wars Skydive, who is another, pre-Beast Wars character. Tigertron, who is basically just a repaint of Ravage. And that's that. So what do you think of the non-box set exclusives?
I think Few should throw a brick at most of them.
Well, you mentioned that Air Razor you liked. Or was that just simply better than Windblade?
It looked like it was a little bit less flimsy.
It's still that mold, so I wouldn't get your hopes up necessarily. Like, I don't know. I don't trust that mold, and I'm actually looking forward to the R.I. Derp Windblade, if only because it's going to have a simpler transformation and be sturdier. At least I'll have a Windblade that can stand at that point, which is nice. What do you think of Transmetal 2 Megatron out of RID 2001 Megatron? Because I got to admit, I've never particularly been overly fond of Beast Wars, but I do kind of like the look of that one.
I mean, it's at the end of the day, it looks like what it is, just repaint. Mm-hmm. The color scheme is pretty cool. I mean, you know, it's not bad. I like it for what it is. Mm-hmm. But it's just a repaint.
And Pterosaur just looks cool, I think. But, you know, that's a mileage may vary kind of thing, because that's, again, a case where it's like, if you don't like Beast Wars toys that don't transform into beasts, then it will do nothing for you.
Yeah.
And Reflector is just
stupid.
I understand what they're going for, but it's just not happening. So let's move on to the toy reveals. Titan's Return continues to move along. We've got what appears to be the second and third wave assortments. They had Astro Train, who is a repaint of Sentinel Prime with a new head.
Which I do like.
Which you mentioned you liked. We've got a lot of the individual head robots who I'm frankly going to be passing on because meh.
Head bots.
We've got some shots of Chrome Dome and Rewind, and they look awesome. Moving on, we've got Titan's Return Wheelie, who is going to be a thing. More shots of Rewind Fortress Maximus. The big news out of this reveal, you know, besides stuff that we have already seen, is, well, on Sentinel Prime, we do have kind of a closer look at his final production color scheme, and it does seem to be less garish and loud. Like, it used to be, he was like kind of bright magma red and orange.
Yeah.
Here it seems to be muted a bit. You got to scroll down a bit to see it, but
yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, they added some gray bits for his limbs, and then they kind of muted the red and the orange a bit, and it does really help. In terms of new things, in terms of new stuff, we've got some shots of Scourge. Obviously, a deluxe Scourge, who looks, I don't know, he looks fine, but I'm still kind of flabbergasted as to what this guy is doing at the deluxe price point, because we're getting Voyager Galvatron in Titan's Return. In Combiner Wars, we had Voyager Cyclonus, and then so Scourge as a deluxe is going to be sort of the odd man out, because he's just smaller.
A bar of soap can only get so big, sir.
I suppose. We've also got shots of Blur. I don't know. It's a very G1 Blur design, and I've got the IDW Generations Blur, which is kind of more my speed design-wise. And the overly blocky G1 design really doesn't do it for me, I guess. But we've also got some shots of Power Master Prime, who is a heavy remold of Ultra Magnus. We've got some shots of Soundwave, shots of Galvatron, all that good stuff. What are your thoughts on this end?
So many neon colors. It looks like 1993 vomited all over my screen.
Close. This line is leaning heavily on 1987. The 1987 line.
That too, yeah. That entire, like, from, like, 87 to, like, early 90s, it looks like it just took a fucking Trix-colored shit everywhere.
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah, it's not bad. I really like Galvatron.
Mm-hmm.
I still maintain what I said about the legs being kind of wonky looking, like disproportionate.
Oh, he's very top heavy.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
I'm going to share another link.
Sentinel Prime. It could just be the lighting, but he looks a bit too neon for me.
Oh, I mean, Sentinel Prime's colors are orange, yellow, and red. Like, those are the character's colors.
Right,
so
but there's different shades of orange, red, and yellow that aren't quite like, construction crew road hazard safety wear.
Sentinel Prime believes in safety, sir.
This Optimus Prime can just fuck off.
Oh, you're not feeling Power Master Optimus Prime?
No, I think it's stupid. I don't like it.
Leaning too much on the Ultra Magnus, I take it?
Yeah, I mean, Prime's never needed to, okay, the things where Prime's combined with this trailer is like a bonus mode, an extra alt mode, whatever. Okay, fine, that's cool, whatever. I get it. The fucking trailer has to go somewhere, contrary to what the G1 cartoon would have you believe. So I get it, but, we've had a lot of Prime variants over the last couple of years. I think we've had enough. I think we're good. And this is just kind of like redundancy. I mean, yeah, they're making use out of the Magnus mold, which is cool, whatever. But that just suits Ultra Magnus way more than it suits Prime. And it's just kind of out of place here to me.
All right, I'm going to send another link, which has more of the newer stuff. So in this one, we see a lot of what we saw in the last link, but we also get Alpha Trion, who's finally getting a mainline release.
Now that I am stoked about.
He's going to be a triple changer. He's triple changing between a lion, a robotic lion, and a space shuttle. Or not a space shuttle, but a spaceship.
Yeah. And the lion, I'll be honest, I could give two shits about.
Well, you know why it's there. It goes back to, how I mentioned that Beast Wars Megatron souvenir toy is a reference to the canceled 2005 BotCon?
Okay.
Well, one of the other exclusives for that BotCon was going to be a Beast Machines lion toy redone as Alpha Trion. And then later in the 2006 BotCon, Alpha Trion did get a toy, but it was a repaint of Vector Prime from Cybertron with a new head. So the only two toys that, have really that Alpha Trion has ever really seemed close to getting have been a spaceship and a lion. And so they made an Alpha Trion toy that transforms into both a spaceship and a lion.
Well, the spaceship actually makes sense. The lion does not, because Alpha Trion never seen Earth.
Not that attitude, he won't.
Right.
We've also got more shots of Power Master Prime, but I doubt any of those are going to change your mind on the subject.
Yeah. No.
Aside from Alpha Trion, the two big... Well, the three big pieces here are going to be... one, Groove is going to happen, Combiner Wars Groove, so if you don't like Rook and want a completely G1 Protectobots Defensor, you just have to wait until May and Groove will be out. We've also got pictures of Mind Wipe, but we kind of knew that was happening. The big reveals here are Brainstorm and Weird Wolf, renamed as Wolfwire, I guess, for trademark purposes. But we are getting two more of the classic 87 headmasters in Weird Wolf and Brainstorm. And do any of those two guys catch your attention? Have you been crying in the dark for an updated Weird Wolf all these years, sir?
Not really, no.
What do you think of him? Does he look like something does he look like a pleasant surprise that you might consider picking up?
Which one is he?
He is the Yellow Wolf dude.
Oh, that fucking thing.
Yes.
Wasn't he part of the Terrorcons?
No. They had another yellow dog robot, but that was not Weird. Weird Wolf was his own thing.
Well, god damn it, bring back the fucking Terrorcons.
Well, Hasbro has basically said that they won't be doing combiners that have beast themes, so no Terrorcons and no Predaking, because apparently those characters don't really work with the modular system that they kind of developed for Combiner Wars, where they can just sort of reshell a bunch of vehicles to look like different guys, whereas they
can't get enough repaints out of it.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Basically. Also in this gallery, we get more shots of Sentinel Prime, and I'm sorry, I like Sentinel Prime, and I like Sentinel Prime's toy, and I'm psyched for him.
I like Sentinel Prime well enough. I mean, if it comes down to me getting this mold in one form or another, I'm going to have a really hard time because I do have a soft spot for Astrotrain, but then again, I've never had a Sentinel Prime.
Nobody has. This is his first official.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of like
other versions of Sentinel Prime. Like there was the Dark Lamoon Sentinel Prime and animated Sentinel Prime, but those are two different characters who just kind of share the name.
Well, animated just doesn't count.
Well, I'm excited for this. Say what you will about Sentinel Prime, but when he died, he didn't destroy the Matrix and leave Bumblebee in charge.
Oh, Jesus.
So when I get this Sentinel Prime, right, I can reenact that. I can do a scene where he goes to Optimus and it's like, give me back that fucking Matrix, because you've obviously done bollocks it up.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing.
Now Optimus goes sit in the corner with my Cronus Prime at like the not so good Prime tables. Me and Nova, we've got this.
I'm of this wave. I'm digging Galvatron. I'm digging the mold of Sentinel Prime. Whether I end up with him or Astrotrain, I like the mold. I could see myself maybe grabbing a Scourge.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely Alpha Trion.
Alpha Trion's definitely must. I'm going to pick up the Combiner Wars Groove just because I don't have anything against Rook, but I kind of want a full G1 combiner set, so I'm going to get Groove. Obviously, Chrome Dome Rewind, Blaster, and Soundwave. I'm going to be. I think I'm going to go more completist on this than you will.
Well, see, like Blaster and Soundwave.
Mm-hmm.
For one thing, we've had those recently.
But yes, but
the other thing is, I don't really care that much about either of them.
I've always liked them. I've always liked the tape. I like the idea of the tapes and the little guys and the animal. Like, I don't know. I've always dug the concept, and we got them in Fall for Cybertron, but they were Cybertronian vehicles, and they didn't have tapes. They had little data discs, and those were good. But this is I guess finally doing a proper update, and I'm psyched. So, but of course, the little head robot guys, I'm not really interested in at all, especially because Hasbro came out and confirmed that they're not going to be doing full bodies for these characters. So there's really so I really don't see any drive to get them.
So what's the point of them then?
The point is to just kind of encourage the mix and match play pattern, because you can buy them and then you can stick them on the Titan return figures. You can take their heads off. You can just do the whole mix and match headmaster thing. Is basically what you. So that's basically what they're doing. It's their way to encourage sort of the versatility of the play pattern. Now that the whole Combiner Wars thing is being phased out, but I don't know. Galvatron is definitely neat. The ones I'm most excited for right off the bat, I would say, are Sentinel Prime, and then Soundwave, Blaster, all the tapes, and Chrome Dome. So, and Alpha Trion is definitely up there too, but he's definitely a get all of the things I really want first, and then when money permits, then pick up Alpha Trion.
See, Alpha Trion will probably be like the first one I'd go for.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is funny that Alpha Trion and Sentinel Prime are both coming out in this way, because I think in the book, the Transformers book Exodus, right, they revealed that like Sentinel Prime basically demoted Alpha Trion and sent him to like the Hall of Records to be an archivist. So,
whoops.
If you get Sentinel Prime and Alpha Trion, then you too can reenact petty Autobot bureaucracy, I guess.
Yay!
and then you can get that Orion Pax toy from like a year or two back.
I mean, you can reenact Alpha Space in space.
Exactly. You can have like Orion Pax sitting down at a desk, and then Alpha Trion comes by. He's like, "Look, Sentinel Prime wants me to tell you about the memo that we're putting new covers on our TPX reports. So if you could go ahead and do that."
Indeed.
And be like Sentinel Prime now with like he has like the world's best boss mug.
Lol. Nice.
Get like Alpha Trion.
Is this good for the company?
And yeah, Brainstorm. He's like, "What would you say you do here?"
Hey.
All right. Moving on. Okay, so Hasbro at their panel announced that the single release of Scattershot was made before they had plans to do Computron. But Computron will happen. Here you go. There's the link to the Hasbro Computron. He will not be released individually like the other combiners. He's going to be a box set. The notable thing with this guy is that he's got new hands and feet that are supposedly more sturdy than the hand, foot, gun accessory that the individual Combiner Wars toys came with. And apparently they were able to work that into the price point here because it's a box set, so they were kind of able to do some stuff that they weren't able, that they kind of had to cut corners on for the mainline releases. But I know Computron is kind of a lame combiner, because why would you combine 5 robots into a giant robot and then turn him into a math nerd? That really seems counterproductive.
I guess because all the other combiners are kind of stupid.
But that aside, what do you think of Computron? Like, are you getting any vibes off of this guy where it's like, he kind of sucks, but, A
little bit, actually, yeah. But I'm not going to be getting it because that's going to be probably pretty goddamn expensive.
That's my thing, too. Like, I see these guys, and I'm like, if they release all 5 of these guys at retail, and then I could kind of pick them up at my own leisure.
I mean,
okay. Like, I could be like, okay, I'll pick up one now. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I got a bit more disposable income this week. I guess I'll pick up the other one. Like that would be something I'd consider doing.
Here's my main gripe with Combiner Wars in general.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, between their shite distribution,
mm-hmm.
their limited runs and everything, they're really fucking over people who don't have steady disposable income, mm-hmm. who would like to, maybe every couple weeks or pick up one a month or something like that.
But at the same time, that's not Hasbro. Hasbro doesn't control distribution. I understand what you're saying. You're completely right, but I'm just saying we shouldn't blame Hasbro for that because Hasbro doesn't have any say in distribution. Hasbro basically, once the figures arrive at the docks, Hasbro's role in the process is pretty much done. At that point, distribution is entirely up to Walmart or Toys R Us or Target or basically the distributor. They do
distribution. They could, however, have the runs last a little bit longer.
That they could, yes.
To give people time, to get a complete set, that kind of a thing. It's pretty aggravating. I mean, like you and I, we covered pretty much all of southern Pennsylvania and western Maryland in the course of a week. And you couldn't even find a fucking Skylynx.
No, very odd considering that the rest of his wave showed up. Like all of the limbs that shipped with Skylynx were all there. Like they didn't necessarily have a problem finding Trailbreaker, Wheeljack, Smokescreen, and Hound. Those were easy enough to find, but you couldn't find Skylynx, which is both aggravating and odd.
So it's kind of like
I thought they were all being shipped together.
Right. So it's kind of like, okay, well, you say the distribution's not Hasbro's fault, but at the same time, all these stores had all these pieces, and they were all missing one. Now, I don't think that Toys R Us and Walmart and all these other stores are all fucking up on that level. It had to have been on Hasbro's end.
That is very possible. I don't know the ins and outs of all that, but no, I don't know how that necessarily works. But no, that is a very good point. That is a very good point. My big thing on this is that, again, if these were individual, if these were individually released, I could pick them up at my own leisure. I'd consider it. Problem is that they're going to be a box set. It's going to be hella expensive. So instead of a $15 figure a couple times over, spread over the course of maybe a month and a half or so, it's now one big purchase right up front. And I might be willing to make that sacrifice if I liked the character enough, but it's fucking Computron, and there lies the rub. I'm not going to spend that much money at once on Computron because it's Computron. He sucks.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is going to be catering to diehard Computron fanboys.
I think there's two.
Yeah, who have the money to plunk down in one go.
Yeah,
so you're talking about a niche market for this thing.
The overlapping space on that Venn diagram is, I've got to think, small. Like, people who can afford to buy Computron, people who like Computron.
Right, exactly. Slowly limiting options here. I mean,
I think it might be one guy, maybe. Like maybe an eccentric millionaire who's just like, well, sure.
I mean, the other people will be total completionists with more money than brains.
But see, at the same time, though, the thing that makes me go, like, there's no point in being necessarily completionist is that they're not going to do combiners like Abominus or Predaking, right? So it's not even like they're doing all of the combiners. And that's the sticking point. If they were going to do all the combiners, then I could see the logic in being a completionist, but they're not. So that to me says, they're not going to do all the combiners. I'm only going to buy the ones I like. So why would I spend all this money on Computron?
They fucking resurrect Skylynx, but they don't do Predaking.
And Skylynx wasn't even a combiner; they just made him one.
Right. They're making combiners that didn't even exist until now, which, I mean, is cool. Don't get me wrong, that is cool, but
no Predaking.
Right.
Well, it is interesting to note that they also did. They showed an image that said that they are going to do Lido Kaiser, which was shocking.
Right, okay, yeah, and there's another one. It's kind of like, okay, where the fuck is this coming from?
Well, Lyle Kaiser, he was a Japanese-only combiner.
Which,
he only
still,
showed up.
though, more people like Leo Kaiser than like Computron.
Oh, I would say that most definitely. And of course, here, just for references, Jack, there is the Lyle Kaiser image. Again, it's a smaller one. Like, this wasn't shown at the convention or anything. It's just an image from a Hasbro panel, but I think it looks cool enough, and I generally do like Lyle Kaiser. I never saw the show Lyle Kaiser was from. He was actually from Breastmasters, but that's besides the point. I never saw the show he was from.
Is it really?
He wasn't a Breastmaster, but he was from the show, yes.
I think that is the point.
But I like, I do, but I like Lyle Kaiser's design, so I would consider, like, I think they announced that they were doing Lyle Kaiser as a gift set, but I've got to be honest, I'd be more willing to pay the big bucks for Lyle Kaiser than I would Computron.
I would too.
Because
and I don't even know what the fuck this is, but it looks. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. If we're going to go,
Lyle Kaiser doesn't suck.
If we're going to go color scheme wise, I actually like Computron better. Mm-hmm. But I know, like, character wise, what a turd Computron is. So even though aesthetically I like him more,
and also Lyle Kaiser's just an awesome name.
And that too. Whereas Computron.
Yeah.
Whereas Computron, like, okay, I actually had, when I hear the word Computron, the first thing I think of is this little, like, kid's computer my mom got me when I was, like,
I was going to say, Computron sounds like kind of like an off-brand that was trying to compete with the Mac in '84.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like this kid's computer kind of a thing. It wasn't even like a real computer, right? I don't even know how to describe it. And it would do stuff like spelling and crap. I don't know. It wasn't all that cool, really. I ended up getting yelled at because I took it apart and kept cutting wires until it didn't work anymore.
Well,
because I wanted to know what made it tick.
Sadness, probably.
Probably. But, I mean, that's what I think of when I think Computron. I think of that lame fucking, like, kid's computer that I had, like, when I was a kid. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, Lyle Kaiser, again, I like Lyle Kaiser, as a character design, at least. And from everything that I've heard in the Japanese show, he actually was pretty kick-ass, so I'm down with that. Let's move on to Platinum. Platinum and San Diego Comic-Con. So Platinum is sort of like a higher-end kind of thing that they've been doing every now and then. I think they're exclusive at Toys R Us in terms of where they're available, but they have released the new Platinum box set for later this year. Is going to be a huge box set celebrating the 1986 animated movie. And so this is a box set that is going to have Leader Class Ultra Magnus, Voyager Class Springer, and then Deluxe Classes Cup, Blur, and RC, all done in metallic paint. I don't even want to think of what this is going to cost, considering it is a box set that includes a Leader and a Voyager. It's going to break 200 easily.
Yeah, it really is.
And I've got all of these toys individually that I guarantee you, if you added them all up, I probably spent less on them combined than this box set's going to cost. And they're not metallic, but you know what? The metallic paint isn't really worth $200+. So, but I guess in terms of general aesthetics, what do you think of it? Like obviously I don't think you're going to be picking it up either, but what do you think just in terms of how it looks?
I mean, I think it's really cool. You know, I mean, again, no, I'm not going to be getting it because price point, and I've got Ultra Magnus,
and he's the centerpiece of the whole thing,
right? So I mean, I'm not gonna.
But this one's got metallic blue instead of regular blue, sir.
Well, whoop-de-fuck.
I mean, and I do like that the 86 movie box set doesn't actually include Hot Rod.
That's my other thoughts about it, right? Like, okay, if you're going to do this, go all out. Put Hot Rod in, put Galvatron in, put Scourge in.
I kind of like that they don't have like Hot Rod, because it's like, all the beloved Autobots you remember from the 86 movie. Where's Hot Rod? All the beloved Autobots.
Right.
And then in the same gallery, and they are kind of mixed up, but there's also going to be what they are calling Titan Force, which is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And that is a 3-pack that is going to have a repaint of Titan Wars Sentinel Prime, only this time he is all neon. They have brightened up the saturation on that red and orange. And
because God knows it needed it.
And they have removed the gray entirely.
Why not?
So this is Sentinel Prime after he has fallen into a volcano, apparently. But it does work to, I guess, give him kind of a unique look to him, like if you wanted to do, if you wanted just to have him stand out as an exclusive.
If you enjoyed Ocular Rape.
Brainstorm, this one's actually causing a bit of a commotion. So the Brainstorm in this Titan Force box set is a heavy retool of Titan's Return Blur. And this is apparently going to be the only way that Brainstorm is available. He won't be released at mass retail. So if you want Titan's Return, Brainstorm, you've got to get this
I don't even know who the fuck Brainstorm is.
He is an Autobot headmaster. He's like a teal spaceship. He's gotten very popular lately because he is in the fantastic IDW More Than Meets the Eye series.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of people are angry about that you can only get him in this limited exclusive box set. I would argue that they released a Voyager-class Brainstorm about a year and a half ago, and you can still find him on the aftermarket, and he's not ridiculously marked up. So if you want a Brainstorm, that's probably the way to go. I mean, I'm just saying that if I didn't have Brainstorm and I wanted a Brainstorm, I'd just go looking for the Voyager from a few years back and pay maybe a $10 markup, then pay for a 3-pack exclusive. And then the last part of this 3-pack is actually RID Windblade. So the RID 2015 Windblade figure, so the sturdy version, but done up in Fortress Maximus colors for reasons. And I'm not understanding why. Then again, I don't understand why Sentinel Prime is all glowy. So I'm assuming that a lot of this is based off of the comics series that IDW is going to do to tie in Titan's Return, because Sentinel Prime is actually going to return for the Titan's Return comic series, and Windblade has been noted as a city speaker, so she can talk to sort of like the giant city robots. So I
City Whisperer,
city speaker, lol. But the point being that there does seem to be a IDW will explain the box set vibe to it, because Brainstorm, of course, being an IDW, a character who has a lot to do in IDW, Sentinel Prime's returning, Windblade might have a connection to Fortress Maximus. It all seems like this set will make much more sense once the IDW Titan's Return series starts. As 3 toys, Brainstorm looks good, but I'm not going to pay the price. I'm not going to go through the hassle and the expense to get the set just for him. Windblade looks interesting, but those aren't her colors, so I'm not seeing the point. And as far as Sentinel Prime goes, I love me some Sentinel Prime, but the retail version will be less eye-rapey. So I think this is an easy pass on this San Diego Comic-Con set.
That pretty much sums up my thoughts on it, too.
Indeed. The one thing with Sentinel Prime seems to have going for him is that instead of Autobot emblems, he's got and you can barely see them because of the whole brightness and saturation of him, but you can just make out on his shoulders that he's got instead of Autobot symbols of the Cybertronian Senate, which harkens back to Sentinel Prime's origins. Before he became Prime, he was the chief security officer of the Cybertronian Senate. So...
Oh, now I do see a Rekgar here, though.
Do you?
Yeah, Platinum Edition, Planet of Junk... it's going to be a Target exclusive.
Yes.
And this one does have Hot Rod in it.
Yeah, that's already... I didn't mention that because that's already out.
Okay.
I've actually seen it at the Toys R Us here in Kitchener. It's all right. It's got that Hot Rod toy from 2006, which is kind of showing its age, and then it's got Rekgar and kind of a generic Junkion in it. It's a decent-looking set, and I would consider picking it up, but again... It's a Toys R Us exclusive up here, and Toys R Us always marks up their exclusives, and it's just sort of that thing where it's like, do I really want to spend all this money in one go? And I'm kind of saying, man, no. I mean, Rekgar, a lot of love for Rekgar, but I've already got that version of Rekgar when they released him individually, so I'm not feeling the urge to pick up this set.
Yeah.
And honestly, Rekgar is the only thing that I really don't need another version of that Hot Rod toy, nor do I really need a generic Junkion. So I'd just kind of be getting it for Hot Rod. I mean, for Rekgar. Let's soldier on, shall we? Okay, so we talked about Lyle Kaiser, who is better than Computron, and that is a fact. The last thing that I guess I really worth going into is just that they're gearing up for the latest wave of R.I. Derp toy lines. And the R.I. Derp toy line is really not my cup of tea because it's just a bunch of... it's aimed at a younger... audience, I guess, a younger consumer base. But there are two toys in Hasbro's recent BotCon offering that made me kind of go, huh. Which is they are going to remold Strongarm into Ratchet, which is interesting because Strongarm is a female character, Ratchet is a male character. I think this is I want to say the first case where you've had a mold made for a female character be repurposed into a male character. It's happened a few times the other way. But I thought that is worth mentioning, sorry. And Ratchet he looks a bit plain in ambulance mode, but, maybe repro labels will fix that. I don't know. But it did grab my attention. And, of course, we do get a closer look at R.I. Derp Windblade, which I'm going to say that I'm very interested in because the original Generations Windblade toy was very finicky and didn't really have good joint tolerances and tends to be floppy. This toy, going for a more simplified, kid-friendly design, actually looks like it's going to be sturdier. So Windblade is probably going to end up as something I get. Because I do like Windblade from the comics. I just want a decent toy of her, and this seems to be the best one. But
yeah,
anything on the R.I. Derp end that surprised you by how interesting it looked?
Not really, no. I mean, the R.I. Derp line, toy wise, they're actually not that bad. They're not things I would really go for, but I don't look at them with inherent disgust, really.
Are you interested in the deluxe class Bisque the Lobster Bot toy that is finally happening?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm really not.
I have to admit, I might pick up that Ratchet just because it does look like it could work as a decent G1 Ratchet, and Windblade I'll pick up for sure, so that'll be one of the few times my wallet dips into R.I. Derp. I know the toys really don't have the same venom to them that the TV show did, which is just wasted opportunity after wasted opportunity, but the toys themselves have generally been underwhelming for me, but I picked up a few. I picked up Strong Arm, and I'll probably pick up Ratchet. And again, I do want to say that that R.I. Derp new Optimus Prime toy with the wings and the bird minicon, that's just a Nova Prime repaint waiting to happen, and I hope it happens soon.
Agreed.
Other than that, I think that wraps up our BotCon coverage. Any overall thoughts on how this sort of went down, the last BotCon of the FunPub era?
Not really, no. I mean, what would I know beyond what we've already talked about?
I don't know, just maybe overall if you thought something, if something caught your eye.
Not that we haven't already discussed, no.
I did think it's interesting. One thing at the Hasbro panel, someone asked them about the future of R.I. Derp, because Season 2 is happening. But they asked them, what are the chances of it happening? What are the chances of Season 3 happening? And basically, Hasbro said, we don't know yet. So it seems as if Cartoon Network's playing very fast and loose with R.I. Derp, and I kind of just want them to put the show out of its misery because it disappointed me, and it's probably needs to go away.
I agree. I mean, it had a lot that it could have done. It had a lot of potential, which it proceeded to not live up to so far. Now, I haven't watched Season 2 yet. I might try it just to give it a shot, but, whatever.
Well, in terms of... and it is the last holdout from the ill-fated Rick Alvarez, Aaron Archer aligned continuity experiment. And that whole thing was such a bust, and everything else from it is gone, dead and buried, that R.I. Derp is the one thing sort of keeping it alive, and I kind of want it to go away just so that whole negative experience can be put behind us and we can just embrace the the IDW G1 awesomeness that has been Devastation, Combiner Wars, Titans Returns. Like, I want to embrace that. I want to leave this whole aligned nonsense behind. And this is sort of the last holdout. So it's almost kind of ideological for me where, like, just die already.
Fair enough.
But with that, I think we're going to wrap up episode 66 of basically a Geek Show, and just occurred to me it's a good thing I didn't do an Order 66 thing, because we actually don't have much Star Wars stuff to talk about. I mean, the Rogue One trailer dropped, but the show was already so chock full of stuff that I figure we can just postpone talking about that for a week and talk about the Star Wars stuff in episode 67. But, any last thoughts in general, Jack?
No.
Sounds good. So you can catch us on all of our platforms, Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, and you can send us an email at basicallygeekshow@gmail.com. Catch us on Twitter @ageekshow, and that'll be it. So for Jack, this is Mike, signing off.
Good night, everybody.